What's up, beautiful people? This is Mike from iGetsWell and hope you're having an amazing day. In today's video, I'm going to be connecting my PlayStation 5 to the Samsung QN90B and show you guys how to set up the 4K HDR and go up to 120 Hz. So keep in mind that the PlayStation does not have the VRR, so we're going to be relying on the 4K 120 Hz settings, and I'm going to be walking you guys through how to set up on your Samsung QN90B. Make sure to like this video because this is going to help me a lot to keep making this content, and also make sure that you watch this video in HDR because it's captured in HDR. So it's going to be best results that you can get is going to be on the HDR. Okay, besides that, I have one more thing. Please subscribe to the channel. It's going to help me a lot, and thank you so much if you're already doing it. So as we can see that I'm on the PlayStation 5 main menu screen. This is the brand new Samsung Neo QLED QN90B. I'm going to go to the settings and show you guys when you plug the HDMI in, what happens. So you go to the screen, video output, and go to the output information. You can see that you are stuck at 60 Hz maximum. So you're getting 4K, 60 Hz, that's the maximum you can go. So what is going on here is that there's a couple of things that you have to do before you can get it actually up and running and working. You can see HDR is off. If I try to turn it on or on when supported, it's gonna tell me that my TV does not support the HDR. Are you freaking kidding me? Well, this TV you paid like $2,600 should support the HDR. It's just a matter of settings. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go in the TV settings and we're gonna make it right. So right now we're gonna leave the PlayStation 5 screen here, and we're gonna get out of here. So now let's bring the Samsung QN90B solar chargeable remote control, and we're gonna get into these settings. You press the little 1, 2, 3 button to get this menu because they have removed that option now, which used to be there. You know, you press the button for the home and this menu would pop up, but now it doesn't do it. And you can see in the picture presets, we don't have the game mode at all. So we have dynamic, standard, movie, which I have calibrated, and the filmmaker mode. And also we don't have anything here to turn on the game mode, which used to be here in the Samsung QN90A. So first thing you want to do is make sure to go to the power and energy savings, and you're gonna disable the auto power saving. I've already done it because I actually rehearsed for this video to make sure that I'm telling you guys everything accurately. So if you have made it so far, please give this video a thumbs up. It's gonna help me a ton. So now let's go to the settings, and we're gonna head down to the connections because you have PlayStation 5 connected. So it's a connected device and it's an external device. So we're gonna go to the external device manager. Make sure that the AnyNet Plus HDMI CE is powered on. It is similar to SimpLink that we have in the LG. What it does, it lets you control the devices connected to the TV using the same remote control. And to get the 4K HDR, we're gonna go to the input signal plus, and my PlayStation 5 is connected to the HDMI 2. We're gonna enable it. As soon as you do that, you have actually unlocked the 4K 120 Hz HDR. But we still are not done yet because we have to force the game mode in order to get the HGiG or game mode HDR. So now we can do one thing. We can go into the game mode settings and we're gonna power it on. When you do it on, it's gonna be always on the gaming. But if you do it on auto, that's when if you're watching, let's say, movies on PlayStation 5, it's gonna switch automatically. So I prefer it on auto. Then you can go to Game Motion Plus if you want to enable it. What it does, it smooths out the transitions. Let's say you're playing a 30 FPS game. It's going to look really amazing. And it's specifically designed for Samsung TVs, which is great. HDR tone mapping, we have the HDR10 Plus Gaming, which is the new feature from Samsung. So the thing is, there are not so many compatible games out there. I'm going to keep it at the basic. If you turn it off, you can turn on the Game HDR. So we're going to keep it at the basic, where it's going to follow the HGiG instructions because it says that it's going to follow the original creative intent of the game. So we're going to keep it at the basic. If you go advanced, it's going to over brighten the screen. So I would not recommend using the advanced right now. But you can see we cannot enable the Game HDR. So what's going on here? We have to go back to the PlayStation 5 and enable the HDR from there in order to enable the HGiG on the TV. I know these options seem like really confusing sometimes. I wish there was an option to just enable everything when you plug in your compatible devices, but it's not letting us do that, right? So that's why I'm here for you guys. So make sure, again, I know I'm requesting a lot because it's gonna help me a lot. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. All right, now In order to activate that Game HDR, I'm going to get out of the TV menu, and you can see that the game picture mode preset is here on the right side, but we do not have the Game HDR. So I'm going to the PlayStation 5 settings now to enable that Game HDR. Alright guys, as you can see on my PlayStation 5 screen, I'm going back to the screen and video settings, and if we go down to the HDR, we have to click on when supported. That's what I do because I don't want that HDR to be forced all the time on the screen. So whenever it's supported, the HDR, you're gonna have the HDR. When it is not supported, you're gonna have SDR. That's the right way to do it. If you wanna force the HDR, you're more than welcome to do that. It's your own PlayStation 5 and it's on your TV. So now you can see that we have the game and there's a little HDR symbol there. So we have the Game HDR enable, but that Game HDR that we are talking about in the game mode settings, it is for the HGiG. So it's going to be enabled automatically when you go to the HDR tone mapping. You can see Game HDR is enabled and it is AKA HGiG. So if you want to enable it, the screen's going to go a little dimmer. So as soon as you enable this, that's when you're going to go back to the PlayStation 5 and do your calibration for the HDR. You don't want to do the calibration before turning on this game mode or turning off if you don't like it, because some people don't like the accurate or the game maker's intent. And make sure to reduce the sharpness down to 0. I had it at 0 already because that's how I set the preset, and also I changed the color temperature. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna reset this picture preset and we're gonna do all over again. So let's go down, reset picture, so I can show you what actually I use personally. Okay, so now picture preset is reset. Now you can see the brightness, contrast. I'm gonna change the sharpness down to 0. 4K content is already sharp enough. I'm not trying to add more sharpness to it. And after doing that, we're gonna go to the local dimming. If it is for some reason low or medium, set to high. It's already by default set to high. The contrast enhancer, I'm gonna turn it off. It's gonna over brighten the pictures, especially with the highlights, and you don't want that clipping to be happening. It's better to use a contrast pattern to set the contrast, but here turning it off is the best deal. So if you think like your screen is dull, which is not gonna be the case with the Samsung QN90B, so you can enable it if you want to, but you don't need to. It's a 2500 peak brightness in the vivid mode, but in the game mode, 1500 nits peak brightness, 1600 peak brightness is enough. So I'm gonna adjust the color tone to the warm. It's by default at the standard. Some people go cool. If you're cool with that, I'm cool with that as well, but I wouldn't recommend that. Make sure to use the standard. Maybe it's fine, and then you can go warm 1 if you want to. I prefer it at the warm 2, which is the D65 color. I'm gonna keep it right there. And we are done with the settings here. There's nothing much you want to do in the settings menu, and we are down to the reset picture again. So that's all we have here. Now, the only last step that we are doing is we are going back to the PlayStation 5 menu, and we're gonna adjust the HDR. This is really important because it's gonna help you to make sure you get the whites and blacks, the HDR. Otherwise, you're gonna have really over brightened screen and all. And you can see that in the video output, we have the 120 Hz enabled. So now it shows 60 Hz at the top because that's the current resolution and refresh rate of the PlayStation interface. But as soon as you switch to the 120 Hz game, it's gonna switch to 120 Hz. And I'm gonna show you guys how it shows the information on the Samsung. Okay, now we are doing the just HDR. This is something that I'm gonna fast forward. You have to just follow the instructions and make sure that the symbols are just barely visible to you. If it is visible like really strong, like the way I'm showing on the screen, it is not the right way. It should be barely visible, and it should also not be totally invisible. So just make sure to follow the instructions, click on the D-pad and make sure to press up and down to get to the right place where it should be. Even though I captured this video in the HDR, but it's really hard to show that tiny detail that's on my screen. But make sure to look for these instructions that are showing on the top and just do accordingly. Especially for this one, I don't know if you can see that, but with my naked eyes, I could see that it was there where it's supposed to be and barely visible. All right, so that's all you're supposed to be doing from the adjusting the HDR. Also, there's sometimes like the HDR adjustment in the game itself, so you can play with that as well. And now we are completely done with the PlayStation 5 and the Samsung QN90B settings. Now we're gonna rock some game and show you guys 120 Hz is working. So we're gonna get into the not my preferred game, but it's in 120 Hz because not every game is gonna be in 120 Hz. And one more thing, go to the save data in game app preset and you have to push it to the performance mode, because if you're in the resolution mode, you're trying to get the lower frames and you're getting the fidelity, but you have to be in the performance mode in order to get the 120 Hertz. So we're gonna go into the Vanguard, which is my least preferred game. I barely played this because I didn't have to. It's just a stupid game. And I know a lot of people will agree with that. I haven't heard like anybody literally like doing anything with the Vanguard, unless just you want to enable some weapons, you want to upgrade, level up some weapons. Okay, so you can see it's the game mode and we have the input signal plus. It's showing 60p at the top on the right corner. You can pause it and see it just disappears really quick. And I'm gonna launch the game now. So as soon as I launch the game, I'll have to make sure that I go to the settings, and there also it has to be in the 120 Hertz. I know it's getting complicated, but it's really easy. Once you get familiar with this, it's just nothing. And once you're set up, you don't have to do it again. So I know it gets a little lengthier and complicated when you're doing these settings, but look at this HDR from this TV. It's just so amazing. The colors are just right there, balanced, and I hope my camera is doing the justice and you're watching it in the HDR on a really neutral picture mode. If you're in the vivid mode, I mean, this is gonna not look good. So now you can see that we have the 2160p, 120p, which is 120 Hertz signal, and we have it up and running. Now I'm going to show you guys some Elden Ring and see the shadow details and everything. And that's all we have from this video. So let's get into the Elden Ring. Alright guys, so now we're getting into the Elden Ring because this is a Soul game and it got the, the shadows that we want to see, if we can see those shadow details or not. But as soon as you launch this game, if you're in a totally dark room as I am, it is literally blinding the way the game starts, those highlights. The Samsung can actually push in the warm 2 temperatures at least 1500 nits that I calculated in the movie mode and also in the game mode. So you're looking at 1500 nits of peak brightness in a short window, like 10% window, and that's the highlights and those details are. And you can see where it should be dark, it is totally dark, and the local dimming is actually working. There were issues with the Samsung QN90A, but here I'm just panning around and showing you guys that there's nothing that is you have to worry about. Like when you're going around like this, sometimes you have the backlight, the delays. I did not notice that at all, and you can see that going from the dark scenes to the bright scenes, and those highlights, they are just exceptional. I'm just loving the way it is, and I can see more details on the LCD, this Samsung QN90B, as compared to the OLED, where it actually suppresses some of the shadow details, but it's beautiful on both. If you're on OLED or on Samsung Neo QLED, they both are premium. And I hope you're enjoying your content, and that's all I have from this video. I'll see you in another one. Until then, peace out.